broke ground in Wilton.
Well,
that's right. Yes. Right. You know who put that on the bond agenda? You know who put it on the bond agenda? Yeah, me. That's right.
I'm the registrar of voters for the town of Wilton, and I was wondering if you have any insider information yet on which party will have the top line on the ballot.
Well, I know which party is the top party. That's a question the Republicans have gone to court to say that they should have the top line because that they believe that the reading of the legislation requires that whoever got the most votes on a particular line has the top line as opposed to the cumulative total. I obviously have the cumulative total because I'm here. And that's without them counting all the ballots in Bridgeport. So obviously I have a preference. My brother Ron's going to be the Democratic registrar in Stamford come January. So I suspect they'll have they know what our deadline is, October 5th, to get the ballots out. They know we made it perfectly clear that they have to be printed before they're mailed. So it's one of those things we do here in Connecticut. So I think the ballots, I think the decision will come out next week. Anybody else want? Yes?
I'd like to give you a report from the trenches and ask a question. I'm the first Democrat in 26 years to be knocking on doors looking for votes in New Canaan. And I started...
let me just say this. Crazy things happen every 20 years. I got elected governor. So.
And so I knew it was an uphill battle, but I didn't realize how far uphill it was after I spent 3 hours with the affordable housing community, the one we have in New Canaan, the confluence of Lakeview and Millport, where we have affordable housing, church housing in Avalon Bay. At the end of the evening, I had 75 people in a round I was speaking to. And at the end, I said, who's going to vote? They all promised to vote. I said, who's not registered to vote? They all raised their hands. So I've heard it's a problem, and I will say that all of the minorities that I spoke to, none of them were registered to vote. So we've got programs to promote affordable housing, to incentivize energy reduction in among towns. Is there anything we can do at the state level to promote the idea of registering to vote?
Well, that's largely been left up to local communities. And what we didn't do in our state is pass the legislation that was passed in 19 other states and put into effect by 2 governors by executive order, which actually curtails people's right to vote. I mean, and we have actually established, for lack of a better term, a poll tax in a number of states in America to vote. And I'll explain to you what I mean by a poll tax. In Wisconsin, you have to have a driver's license or a form of identification issued by the motor vehicle department in Wisconsin to vote. You don't actually have that. If they ask you for ID, they can't stop you from voting in Connecticut if you don't have an ID, by the way. They can't stop you. Now, that's interesting what they did, and this was a Republican legislature, a Republican governor who passed this, because there are 3 counties that have no motor vehicle department. Less than half the counties are open on the weekend, and the vast majority of motor vehicle departments in the state of Wisconsin are only open a certain numbers, not even days of hours, I should say, not even days. And then, of course, Pennsylvania is the other state which they've actually potentially disenfranchised 770,000 voters who have voted in the past but don't currently have a motor vehicle ID. Or my favorite is the great state of Texas, where they passed this legislation. They'll recognize a gun permit as acceptable ID, but they will not recognize a state-issued ID by one of their state universities or colleges. Now, obviously, they don't want urban dwellers to vote. I mean, there's a reason there are fewer people in cities without driver's license. You don't have to drive, right? So they don't want urban folks. They don't want students. They don't want senior citizens, particularly senior citizens who live in urban environments. We didn't do that. In fact, we're making it easier to vote, and we've been recognized by a whole bunch of folks to do that. I will get back and talk to the Secretary of State, but you need to also get the Democrats in New Canaan out to that site to register to vote, to get people registered to vote. We didn't pass in our state legislation that's been passed in 20 or put into effect in 21 states that takes away the right from Boy Scouts to register voters, or the League of Women Voters to register voters. Yeah, and that's what they've done in states. So we have a problem getting people registered, but we don't have laws against it. They have problems in a lot of states because they have laws against it. And I gave a talk to the League of Women Voters down in Darien earlier this week. And this is my great fear about our democracy right now, is that this election tightens up again. And the election be decided not by the number of people who voted for a candidate, but by the number of people who are turned away from the polling place in Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania on election day. To contemplate that because of these laws passed, to fight fraud, which has been proven not to exist on any systemic basis, to think that we could elect a president in some of the most difficult times in our country's, at least economic life, who at the very start will have to explain why he's the legitimate president of the United States, is a scary proposition brought to you by none other than Republican governors and Republican legislators acting in concert in state after state after state. So we got to get some people registered, but we don't have that problem in our state. Listen, I've taken enough time. It's great to be with you. I always like. Is the grill still on? I'm going to get a burger. All right.